Hello and welcome back to another one of my FPL videos. I of course am the FPL train, and in this video I've come up with a wildcard team ahead of game week 30. Now obviously now we've got the double game weeks announced for game week 34, a lot of us are in full panic mode on what to do in the next coming week. So I've come up with a wildcard team. Now I for one am not going to be wildcarding in this game week. I feel like my team, I can hold off with it. But no, obviously there's a lot of people out there who will be activating the wildcard chip for this game week because of what's happened in the recent weeks with double game week 28 and obviously the big blank in 29 where a lot of people focused on those game weeks and now their team's in the mud. So this team, I mean, it's not completely directed to full on go for game week 34 for the double game weeks because 5 of these players, of course, are not going to be double game week, and some of them don't even have a game week for game week 34. But obviously I didn't see the point in going for a team where all of them have double game weeks for game week 34, because at the end of the day we've got 4 game weeks before we hit game week 34, so you might be making transfers and you can make 4 by that time anyway, so there'll be no problems there at all. I just feel like for now I think this is probably one of the better teams that you can get from game week 30 right up to game weeks 34 and onwards. But obviously you guys might disagree with that completely. I know some people have different opinions on this, but you know, this is a team I think will do pretty well from now to the end of the season. Obviously, no point in everybody having the same team, so there's going to be a few differentials in there, but obviously there is going to be certain players like Salah are going to be in these kind of teams. So anyways, kicking us off then with the goalkeepers, I've gone for a Jordan Pickford and a Petrovic partnership in goal. So it's the Chelsea and the Everton guy. So with the Chelsea one, Petrovic, now I'm not too sure, and I'm not really looked into it really at all, if I'm being honest, on my goalkeepers anyway, what's going on with the goalkeeping situation at Chelsea. Now this guy has been starting for some time, obviously Sanchez was out injured, but he is back, Sanchez. This guy looks like he's going to hold off possibly. I mean, look, I'm no Chelsea fan, so I ain't got a clue really, but it looks like he's going to be the number 1 goalkeeper from now until the end of the season. And to be fair, his fixtures aren't exactly the worst in the world. I mean, the double game week is of course not there for Chelsea, which is, you know, kind of a shame, I guess. But you know, look, game week 34, which is obviously the double, he's got Arsenal, so you're not going to be wanting to have him as your goalkeeper, are you? So what you want to do instead is go for Jordan Pickford, who will have a double game week, who does unfortunately have Liverpool in that double game week, but still, nevertheless, he's got a double game week. So yeah, I just feel like it works out pretty alright, and especially because I think Everton's fixtures from now until the end of the season, they're actually really decent, to be fair. Newcastle's probably a tough one. They've got Chelsea's away is going to be tough, Liverpool at home, and Arsenal away. And then the rest of the fixtures, I mean, you're looking at, what, 7 decent fixtures coming up from now to the end of the season? That is pretty decent, to be fair. Now, obviously, Jordan Pickford burned a lot of it at the start of the season, but who knows, he could turn things around for us all, and we could all end up having Pickford in our teams and absolutely smashing it. So, yeah, those are the 2 goalkeepers I think are possibly best going forward. You might think different, but I do think, you know, Jordan Pickford, I just think Everton's fixtures going forward are pretty decent. But I know people out there saying maybe go for like a Raya perhaps or somebody like that. But yeah, I think Pickford could really smash it from now until the end of the season, personally. Right then, on to the defenders. Now, before I actually do go through the defenders, I'd just like to point out, with this team, I do actually have 6.7 million left in the bank. And there's a good reason why I've got that money in the bank. And I'll let you all know right towards the end. But what I will say is, if you don't have the best team value, you probably wouldn't have been able to do what I've done here. But anyways, we'll go through the defenders now. So starting us off, we've got Gabriel. Of course, we've got Gabriel of Arsenal. Best defence in the league so far this season. Obviously, we've got the double game week in 34 with Wolves and Chelsea, which is not too bad. I mean, I know obviously we've got this tough fixture in game week 30, but you can just stick him on the bench for that game week. And then he's got some nice fixtures against the likes of Luton and Brighton, who have been struggling recently. So, yeah, you've got to have an Arsenal defender in your team, especially when they're the best defence so far this season. We've also got Lascelles in here. Now, I've put Lascelles in here. Now, he doesn't have a double game week for 34, but his fixtures from now to the end of the season are pretty good. West Ham, Everton, Fulham. Spurs being the only top 6 team that they've got left to face for the rest of the season. They've still got the likes of Sheffield United and Burnley to play. the remainder of the season. And of course, the big one is the fact that Botman's been ruled out for the rest of the season. So we saw Lascelles come in for Botman at some point in the season, and he did pretty well, to be fair. So the fact is, you got a 3.9 million defender, got some decent fixtures from now to the end of the season. Obviously, you got people like Trippier out currently right now, but Pope could come back soon, and if he comes back, that'll definitely strengthen the defence. So yeah, I just think he's a great option at 3.9, a much better option than Charlie Taylor. Also in there, we've got Udogie. Now this guy, he's blanking in game week 34. Spurs are the only team to blank in game week 34. So you're probably wondering, why would I have him? Well, game week 30, he's got Luton at home. It's not too bad. West Ham away is going to be tough. I think Forest at home is a nice fixture. And then Newcastle away is going to be tough. But they've still got a couple of fixtures yet to be announced. Now, we'll have to see. I mean, it's going to be after game week 34, obviously. But then last two games, they've got the likes of, obviously, Burnley and Sheffield United. But, yeah, they've still got quite a few fixtures left to go. The next three fixtures look nice. You can put them on the bench for a few weeks and then right at the end of the season, bring him on. But, yeah, I felt like, a Spurs defender was needed in for this team. Also got Mikalenko in here. I like Mikalenko. I think Everton's fixtures from now to the end of the season are really good. He's 4.6 million. I mean, yeah, he's not been setting the stats alight. He's only got 2 goals and 1 assist this season. But, when he's fit, he starts and he plays 90 minutes majority of the time. So, it just felt like a clear and obvious decision. I know you could go for like a Braithwaite or a Tarkowski, but, you want to go for somebody who's got a better chance of creating some chances, getting, the odd assist possibly. I mean, I know his stats, like I said, aren't amazing, but you never know. So, at 4.6 million, I felt that was an absolute bargain, that one. And then finally, I've got Aiton Nori of Wolves. Now, Wolves this season, I mean, I picked them to go down. I thought they'd get relegated. They've been amazing this season, to be fair to them. Gary O'Neil has been phenomenal. And I think the rest of the season looks pretty decent for Wolves. They do have a double game week in 34. We've got the likes of Arsenal and Bournemouth. And obviously, it's not the best double game week, but they are going to be at home in both of those games, which is a bonus. They've got the likes of Burnley, Luton yet to play still, Bournemouth, Forest. I mean, that's not in order, by the way. But yeah, they've got some good fixtures from now to the end of the season. Obviously, the double game week in 34 is also massive. And the guy's 4.5 million. He's an absolute bargain. Absolute bargain, this guy. So again, his stats aren't amazing. Only 1 goal and 2 assists this season. And only 3 clean sheets and 21 starts. Ain't exactly the best. But you know what? The fixtures aren't looking too bad. Game week 31, for example, we've got Burnley away. That's a nice fixture to have. And yeah, I think, he could cause some havoc in there. He can definitely smash it for you. So yeah, it's not the most glamorous of defences, especially when 3 of the 5 Yeah, that's correct, actually. Sorry. 3 of the 5 defenders are all under 5 million. So there's no, Van Dijk. I know people rightfully should go for possibly him. I mean, obviously, if Trent Alexander-was fit, I definitely would have him in the team. But obviously, he's not currently fit. We don't know when he's going to be back. That is another option. And I did try, and obviously, with the money I got left in the bank, get Ben Chilwell in. And I can obviously get Ben Chilwell in with 6.7 million in the bank. So if I was to do that, I'd take out Aiton Nori or Udogie. One of those two would go. But the reason why is because, like I'll say later on, but ideally, I mean, I would have liked Ben Chilwell in the team. I know he's a bit more expensive, and obviously there's other defenders out there cheaper at Chelsea, but the thing is, anyway, I've got the goalkeeper, and Chelsea's defence so far this season has been pretty bad. Now then, that leads me on to the midfield. Of course, I mean, I mentioned before, Mohamed Salah's got to be in there. I mean, double game week in 34, it's a no-brainer. He's got Brighton, Sheffield United coming up, Palace as well. Man United, they can score goals past. Spurs, they can score past, so at Anfield. Yeah, he's a must-have. Everybody's got to have him. He's only 24% owned currently right now. I expect him to be in the high 60s by the time game week 34 comes around. So yeah, that was an obvious one. Morgan Gibbs White, I mean, this is, you could say, knee-jerk, really, because he's not been amazing this season, but You know, he's got 10 goal contributions this season, 3 goals, 7 assists. It's not exactly too bad from 26 starts. Obviously, he pulled off that good assist and a bonus point in the last game week, which is probably why a lot of people might be thinking this is knee-jerk. But Nottingham Forest's fixtures, they're actually pretty decent from now to the end of the season. They've still got the likes of Sheffield United and Burnley yet to play this season. Now, they don't obviously have the double game week in 34, but, you know, before that, they've got Palace, Fulham and Wolves, Everton. You know, that's not too bad. Obviously, we do have Spurs in the middle of those fixtures, but their fixtures are pretty decent. I just thought, you know what, he's less than 2% owned. It might be worth a punt to go for somebody like him. So yeah, I've got Gibbs White in this team. Son, I mean, again, I feel like he's currently a must-have, even though he is obviously blanking in game week 34. But we are expecting a couple of double game weeks for Spurs after game week 34. So yeah, even if, you know, he is blanking in 34, I definitely have him on the bench 34 and, you know, keep him from now to the end of the season, if I'm being honest. But, you know, you could also go for maybe gamble there and go for Richarlison or even Maddison or maybe even Kuleveski. But, you know, you can't not go for Son really because, you know, he's unbelievable. He's amazing. 14 goals, 8 assists, nearly a goal contribution a game, which is phenomenal. So, yeah. Son at the minute, I feel like he's pretty much a must-have as well. As is Cole Palmer. The guy's been absolutely unreal this season. He's absolutely smashed it down the board. 11 goals, 9 assists. That is incredible from 19 starts. That is absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, look at his fixtures as well. Burnley's the next game, nice fixture. Sheffield United still yet to come. Obviously, they don't have a double game week in 34, but, you know, their fixtures are decent, and, you know, Cole Palmer has just been unreal this season. So, got Cole Palmer in there, and I've also got Luis Diaz in there. I felt like you've got to have, as Liverpool, you've got to go full on attack with Liverpool at the minute. Brighton, Sheffield United, and also the double game week against Fulham and Everton. Oh, man. With the injuries they've got as well, Luis Diaz is definitely going to be starting. The majority of time, he's going to be playing 90 minutes of football. So, yeah, you've got to have him. So, that you're basically covering yourself off as well. Because usually he gets the odd goal. If obviously Salah blanks, at least then you've covered yourself there. So, yeah, I feel like you've got to double up there on your Liverpool attack. And finally then, that does bring me on to my strikers. Now, let's talk about the obvious thing we've got here, and that is no Man City players in this team whatsoever. So that does mean I haven't put Erling Haaland in this team. Now, like I said before, I've got 6.7 million left in the bank. So, if I want to get rid of Ivan Toney or Darwin Núñez, I can do a straight swap and get Erling Haaland back in this team. No problem whatsoever. But the reason why I'm not really that bothered about obviously not having Erling Haaland is, well, Darwin Núñez has got, like I've said before, they've got Brighton at home, Sheffield United in the next 2 game weeks. Man United, I think they're going to smash them because of what happened in the FA Cup. Then they're at home to Palace, and then it's a double game week with Fulham and Everton. So, do I want to swap him for Erling Haaland? Not really. It doesn't sound like... Oh, well, I mean, it sounds like he's got a good run there. So, that makes me think, nah, I don't fancy him. I can't afford to swap him for Slanky. So, then that leaves me with Ivan Toney. Now, Toney's got a tough fixture, I guess, against United. But United do leak in goals. And then he's got Brighton, which is a nice fixture. Tough one then at Villa. So, maybe I could swap him then. But then why would I swap him out? Because in game week 33, he's at home to Sheffield United. Now that is nice. And he's away to Luton in game week 34, which is obviously the double game week. But that's not a bad fixture. And then Everton, Fulham, Bournemouth. And if obviously Brentford are battling relegation still at the end of the season, they're going to need goals. And they're going to be looking to Ivan Toney. So that's making me really want to keep Ivan Toney as well. So obviously, Haaland, game week 30 is Arsenal, 31's Villa. So, I'm not too fussed about not having Haaland for then. So, you're looking at 32 Palace, 33 Luton. Ideally, Luton would be a nice fixture. But he's not doubling in game week 34. So, that's an interesting one. So, I could easily hold off having Haaland till about game week 35, 36. Providing, obviously, he doesn't smash it against the likes of Crystal Palace. If he smashes Crystal Palace in 32, I probably would panic. and try and get him in for game week 33 where he's got Luton. But obviously he scored, what was it, 4 or 5 goals against Luton earlier in the season in the FA Cup, something like that. So that is obviously a concern. That's just something he can do. But like I mentioned, Tony and Darwin's fixtures are pretty decent, to be fair. And obviously there's still Dominic Solanke. He's got 3 nice fixtures coming up. He can score against United. He's got the double game week in 34. So it's really hard, obviously, to get rid of Dominic Solanke. My original, well, this isn't my team, but originally I would have got rid of him for game week 33, but now he's got the double in 34. It's tricky, really, to decide on what to do there. But yeah, this team doesn't have Erling Haaland, and you know what? I don't mind that at all. But if it does panic, if I do panic, or if I was to panic, for example, and he smashes it, and let's say against Arsenal, then I could quite easily just change the team around, take out Tony or Darwin, and bring Haaland straight back in the team. But like I said, there is no Man City players in there, so no Phil Foden. I prefer, wow, as great as he's been this season, I just prefer the fixtures these other guys have to what Man City have got, to be honest. Man City don't look desirable right now. So, yeah, this is the wildcard team I would do if I was wildcarding in game week 30. Let me know what you think of this team. Let me know what you're doing for game week 30. Please, sorry, don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.